everybody. We are going to be doing a body weight mat Pilates class today, and I'm going to have you start standing. So you just need a mat or something comfortable to work on so that when we're down on the floor, you're not on like hardwood. So just standing with feet hips width apart, a little bit of a bend into the knees, nice neutral spine. You can look forward. Just turn the palms to face forward. We're going to take a big inhale and reach those arms out and up towards the ceiling. And then reach the arms up a little bit higher. Feel that the shoulders are lifting up towards your ears. Relax the shoulders down the back from there. A couple more times like that. You're reaching the arms up towards the ceiling. Let the shoulders lift. Feel the shoulders slide down. One more. And then shoulders down the back. You can nod the chin towards the chest on your inhale. Start to slowly round your spine down and forward into that heavy hanging forward fold at the bottom. You can place your fingertips or your flat hands flat on the mat, and we're just going to straighten and bend through the legs here. So inhaling to bend the knees, you can sit the hips kind of low, and then exhale to lift the hips high. Inhale to bend, exhale to lift. So feet are flat, super soft neck, you're dropping the head down. Everything through the shoulders and the neck is soft and relaxed. And one more time, bending and lengthening the legs. And then I'm going to have you walk the hands out towards that front end of the mat into a nice long plank line. So shifting your weight forward into a high plank here, shoulders over the wrists. One long line from the crown of the head all the way back to those heels. Feel that the shoulders are sliding down your back. Lift your abs and ribs up into the back body. So nice strong core, big deep breaths. We're just holding it. You can also be on your knees here, which would look like this. Knees down, feet lifted if you need like a modified plank. If you need it to be a little bit easier. Otherwise we're lifted. We're holding that strong, long plank line. And then start to shift your weight forward and back here, hinging through the shoulders and the ankles. So the shoulders move forward of your hands and then back over the wrists again. Heels reach forward, shoulders reach forward at the same time. And then heels reach back, creating that length through the backs of the legs. One more time here. All right, we're gonna lift the hips up and back, scoop the abs up into the back body. Hips shift up and back into more of a downward dog here. And just hold it there. So one long line from the fingertips up to the tailbone. So nice long flat back. You can lift and lower the heels. Start to just articulate through the feet. So heels lift high, and with control they lower towards the ground again. So just kind of getting that stretch through the calves and the hamstrings, and working the calves a little bit at the same time. And we're going to alternate with this. So one heel drops, one heel lifts, and you'll switch the feet out. Okay, so right heel towards the mat, left heel lifts high, the left knee bends as you lift that heel, and then switch. Right heel lifts, right knee bends, left heel is dropping, and you'll alternate one foot at a time. All right, both heels reach towards the mat. Shift your weight forward into your plank again. Inhale. Exhale, lift the hips up and back into that downward dog. And inhale into plank. So we're just shifting the weight back towards the legs, hips back towards those feet, and then shoulders forward over the wrists, hips come low when you come into that plank line. Try not to arch the back though, try not to drop the hips too low, just into that long straight line. All right, last one here. Inhale forward, find that plank again. Gently bring your knees down to the mat. And then you can lift the feet. We're gonna go into some push-ups. You could always do your push-ups in full high plank if you like that better. So go ahead and open the hands out a little bit wider. We're going to go into wide elbow push-ups. So gently lowering your chest towards the mat on your inhale. Big exhale, pushing away. Inhale to lower. Exhale to push up. So belly button pulls in and up under the ribs. On those exhales, we're cinching the waist in, keeping the core nice and strong. Last 3. Try to make sure you're dropping the chest towards the ground first, not leading with the head or the chin. We want to make sure the neck stays in that nice long line. All right, carefully lower the feet. You can sit back, hips to heels, take a quick child's pose. So reach the arms out, let your head drop down, take a breath, breathing into that back body. One more breath there. And then we'll walk our hands back to the knees, bringing your torso upright. You're going to lift the hips up off the heels here so that you're in a nice tall kneeling position. Arms are going to reach out in front of the body, nice long arms lifted at shoulder height. You're going to hinge through the knees here to lean the whole body back a few inches. Really as far back as feels okay that you can keep this form, and then come forward. So we want to be keeping that long straight line from the crown of the head down to the knees rather than arching. Okay, make sure you're not arching, and make sure you're not rounding your spine either. You're keeping that neutral position through the back, keeping the abs pulled in and together. Okay, one more. But let the arms come down. You can kind of twist side to side a little bit, shake that out. And then we're just going to cross one forearm over the other. So right forearm over the left, you're still in that nice tall kneeling position. This time you're going to hinge from your hips. So you're going to sit the hips back towards the heels. So you're bending here at the hips, and then lifting the hips up off the heels again, squeezing into the glutes at the top there. Inhale, lower. Exhale to lift. So torso is still upright. So try to stay as straight up and down as you can instead of pitching forward. So if I was pitching forward, it would look like this. It's going to make the exercise very different. So try to do your best to just keep those shoulders back over the hips while you're moving. And we'll go one more time here. And then go ahead and switch which forearm you have on top. We're going to sit back, just halfway back this time, and hold there, and little pulses up and down. So now you're squeezing through the backs of the legs, but the front of the legs, those quads, are working really hard as well. So little lifts and lowers. And then coming up back into that tall kneeling position again, give yourself a little break. Take a breath. One more time. We're going to hinge through the hips, sit halfway back, lift the right hip, and then lift the left hip. So it's a little like hula movement side to side. Your right hip lifts up towards the ribs, your left hip lifts up towards the rib cage. Okay, just kind of tilting the hips side to side, hiking one hip up at a time. One more each side, and then carefully lift up out of that. Bring the arms down. You can relax there, roll the shoulders up, back and down. All right, you guys, we're gonna bring the hands back behind the head, wide elbows. You're still in that nice tall kneeling position here. Try not to round your back or arch again, so we're just neutral. Okay, so find that middle ground. Ribs are pulled in and together, abs are pulled in. Big inhale. You're gonna exhale and rotate towards me, opening the chest up, nice wide elbows. Okay, you're only twisting as much as you're able to without changing the hips and without changing the position of the back. So inhale, come back to center. So no rounding. Don't let the hips rotate with you, which would look like this. You're just going to twist from underneath the rib cage. Hips are squared off to the wall in front of you the whole time. It's a slow, controlled movement. Inhale to center. Exhale, rotate. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. So as you exhale, think about blowing all the air out of your lungs so that you need that fresh breath through center. You need that inhale as you come through the middle. Okay, pause through center here. We're gonna go into little side bends now. So still the hands are back behind the head, wide elbows. You're gonna think about bringing that right elbow down towards the right hip so that you're cinching the waist in, you're working that right side oblique, and you're stretching the left side. Come back up through center, left elbow towards the left hip. Feel the core working in both directions. So your obliques, your abdominals are helping you to crunch to one side, but they're also helping you to lift up out of that crunch and find center each time. Find that nice long position, tall spine. So this looks simple, but as long as you're really working the position, you have all the muscles turned on, you're engaging everything correctly, it should be somewhat challenging. Make sure it's slow. You can fly through this and make it easy, but if it's easy, you're not working everything how you should be, okay? So try to slow it down. We're gonna let those arms come out and in front of the body again. So this time we're gonna go back into that hinge where we're leaning the whole torso back, but you're gonna add a little row with a twist with each arm. So we're gonna hinge through the knees, keeping that straight line from the head to the knees. Rotate, pulling that right elbow back, opening the chest up to the right side of the room. That left arm still reaches long out in front of you. Inhale, come back to center, reach that right arm long. Exhale, left elbow pulls back, twist to the left. The chest is opening to that side of the room. Inhale, back to center. Okay. Good. So hips stay squared forward to the wall in front of you. You're rotating side to side, moving from underneath that rib cage. Pull one arm back at a time. Make sure you're not going back so far that you feel like you have to pitch the torso forward or round your spine. We want to stay super long and tall the whole time. We also want to make sure we're not bending at the hips at all. You're just hinging from those knees to lean back. One more each side like this. All right, guys, come back through center. Shake that out a little bit. You can kind of sway side to side, twist a little bit. Roll those shoulders up, back, and down. All right, we're gonna go into some tricep dips here. So I'm gonna have you come to seated. You can swing the legs out in front of you and bring the hands back behind the body. We'll have the fingers point in towards the glutes for this one. So hands are gonna be right underneath the shoulders. The palms are flat on the ground. You can have feet and knees together, zip up the inner thighs. Go ahead and start to lift the hips up off the mat so you find yourself in kind of a tabletop position here, almost like a bridge. Make sure you're looking forward, you're not letting the head fall back, we don't want to hurt the neck. So chin towards the chest, and you'll bend the elbows, elbows point straight back towards the wall behind you. Lengthen the arms as you exhale. Okay, you can just have normal inhales, normal exhales here. You could go slow enough to inhale to bend, exhale to straighten the arms, but if it's going a little bit faster, that's fine as well. Just make sure you're breathing. We never want to be holding the breath. Squeeze into those triceps, really firm the arms up every time you lengthen. Last two. And then gently lower the hips down. Good, you can sit tall. You can reach the legs straight out in front of you. So go ahead and separate the feet, hips width apart. flex the feet as much as you can. So you're reaching the heels away from you, away from those upper thighs, creating as much length in the backs of the legs as you can. We're also sitting up as tall as we can. So find the sits bones. You're on those sits bones, they're separated. They're helping to ground you into the mat, and we're sitting up really tall, and this should be work in itself already. We're gonna reach the arms forward, big inhale. As you exhale, scoop the abs into the back, round through the spine. Your shoulders are gonna stay over your hips, okay? So you didn't lean forward with the torso, you just came into a round spine, reaching the arms long in front of you. And then restacking, so stick the tailbone out, let the spine kind of unfold, lengthening, lifting the ribs up away from the hips again. Exhale as you round. Belly button pulls in and up under the rib cage. You're deepening the scoop in the abs, letting the head drop down a bit. And then inhale to restack. Exhale, rounding in, scooping those abs in. Find as much of a C curve as you can. Make sure the shoulders aren't up by the ears, they're still down the back. Inhale, lengthen. One more like that, exhale. Pulling the mid back towards the wall behind you. Not leaning back, we're not back here, and we're not forward, okay? We just keep the shoulders above the hips, but we're in that rounded spine. And then restacking. Okay, hands are gonna go back behind the head one more time. Wide elbows, you're gonna separate the feet the width of the mat. So make sure you have a nice wide stance here, okay? Still a tall spine, you're sitting tall on the sits bones, squeezing through the glutes. Big inhale. Exhale, you're gonna twist to your right. Give a little pulse on that side, so like an extra little twist. Inhale back to center. Exhale, twist right, left, blowing all the air out of the lungs. Inhale, center. Okay, so side to side. Think about growing taller through center every time. And as you exhale, you're not sinking into the hips, but you're just twisting, you're cinching the waist in. Try to keep squeezing the glutes, keep sitting tall, almost lifting up away from the mat. Last one to the left. All right, guys, go ahead and find center. Open the arms out here. We're gonna twist side to side, that same movement. We're gonna add a forward fold. So big inhale, exhale, you'll rotate right. Reach the left hand past that right foot, forward fold over that right side leg. Press the back palm up to the ceiling. Inhale, unfold, untwist. Exhale, rotate left, forward fold. Inhale, sit tall. So once you get into that fold, make sure that you're really scooping your abs in. You're reaching both hands, both arms in opposition of each other. Trying to get as much of a stretch through the back as you can. You're still reaching the heels away from your upper thighs, creating as much length in the backs of the legs as we can. One more to the left. All right, come through center, let those arms come down, shake it out a little bit. We're gonna bring the legs all the way together now. So your feet are still flexed, but inner thighs are zipped up, feet and knees are touching. Still reach those heels away from the backs of the legs, the upper thighs. I'm gonna take you into a full roll down here, as long as you're feeling okay with that movement. We're gonna be rolling back onto the mat, laying your spine down one bone at a time. If it doesn't feel okay to come that low, laying down all the way, try just going halfway back and you'll see what I mean when we get into it. So big inhale. As you exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Start to slowly round the spine and slowly roll the spine down onto the mat, one bone at a time. So we want it to be super slow, super controlled. Keep the feet heavy. Okay, one vertebrae at a time. You're coming down onto the mat, onto the ground. Reach the arms up and back to the wall behind you if you have space for that. You can even reach a little bit further back, let the shoulders lift, and then draw the shoulders down the back. So really anchor the shoulder blades on the back body. Inhale, you're gonna lift the arms, nod the chin towards the chest. Exhale, curl the chest, forward over the rib cage, scoop the abs in, round forward. Keep those feet heavy, keep the heels reaching, rounding the spine forward over the legs, and then finding that deep forward fold, finding that back stretch. And then again, staying low, so I didn't sit tall, I didn't restack. Stay low like you're under a really low ceiling. Tuck the tailbone under, roll back one bone at a time. Exhale, reach the arms back. Good, keep this going. Inhale, arms lift, nod the chin towards the chest. Exhale, scoop the abs in to help you come forward. Try to keep those feet down, it's even. It's tough for me to do that. They want to lift. Reach for the feet, let the back stretch out. So this is what I mean if you are having trouble coming up from the ground completely, maybe just go halfway back to about here and then come forward, okay? So that's going to be your progression if it's feeling too tough to come up from laying all the way down onto the ground. Otherwise, keep going all the way down. Good. Big inhale. Exhale, curl forward over the rib cage. Deepen the scoop in the abs. Make sure you're using the core to help with that movement. Reach for the feet. Let the back stretch out. We'll just do one more. Think about as you're rolling down and as you're coming up, try to keep length through both sides of the torso. So that space between the ribs and the hip. Sometimes one side of the body wants to shorten to help you come up. Try to just do your best to stay as long as you can and as balanced as you can. So last one, inhale, chin towards chest, arms are lifting, exhale, curl forward, scoop those abs in, keep the feet reaching away, heels long, exhale, shoulders forward over the hips, reach for the feet. Okay, restack the spine, let the arms come down. Awesome job, you guys. We're gonna scoot forward a little bit, bend the knees, bring your feet flat on the mat. So feet are hips width apart, and we'll go into your bridging. So take a second here, reach the arms out. We're gonna lay down onto our backs again. Tucking the tailbone under, rolling down slow. Try to keep those feet heavy. Try to keep it as controlled as you can. Okay, once you're down there, you can bring the heels a little bit closer to your glutes. So flat feet, arms relax into the carriage beside you or into the mat. On either side, just draw the shoulders down the back. Take an inhale, tuck the tailbone under, squeeze through the glutes and the hamstrings, and feel that you're really rooting the heels into the ground. And roll the spine up one bone at a time. At this highest point here, it might not feel very high to you, but you want to stop at the bottoms of the shoulder blades. So shoulder girdle is on the mat supporting you. You're not arching the back. You're not lifting so high that your upper back is off the mat there. We don't want to be straining the neck. So we're on the shoulder girdle. Pulse the hips up and down a couple inches through just squeezing the glutes and the hamstrings. It'll be a small movement, keeping the breath moving with you. And then we're going to take that into a little circle through the waist. Hips move to the right, down a few inches, to the left, up a few inches. So slow, controlled circle through the waist. Keep the abs engaged. Okay, go ahead and switch direction. Hips to the left, down a few inches, to the right, up a few inches. Still keeping equal weight into both feet. Keep the big inhales, big exhales, moving through the body. Keep that breath flowing. Okay, come back to center, roll your spine down slow. Think about reaching the tailbone away from your upper back as you roll down. Tuck the tailbone under, squeeze through the backs of the legs to lift. Roll back down one vertebrae at a time. Okay guys, one more time, we're going to come up into that bridge, hold the lift up at the top. Alright, Alright, you're going to draw your heels together. So you have heels together, toes apart. Lift the heels off the mat if you can and keep them connected. And then we're just on the toes and the balls of the feet here. You're going to bring the knees together to touch. Open the knees out wide. So knees together, inner thighs zip up. Knees apart, outer glutes, outer thighs are working at that point to get you to that opening. So do your best here to keep the hips lifted and level. Try to not allow the hips and the pelvis to tilt or rock side to side throughout this movement, which might be a little bit tricky. So just doing our best. 2 more. Okay, open the knees one more time. Hold it. Knees are going to pulse out to either side of the room. So just more of that opening. Little pulse out. Keeping those abs turned on. And then holding the knees wide, pulse the hips up and down. One more set. Make sure those abs are engaged. Belly button's pulled into the back body, so you're still supporting the back. Okay, and then let the knees come in just a little bit. You can separate the heels, lower the heels down onto the mat. Roll your spine down slow. Give the knees a big hug into your chest and rock the back out side to side. You can even have the hands on tops of the knees and kind of circle through the low back. Circling the knees around to massage that lower back a little bit. Alright guys, we're going to try some single leg circles here. So you're going to straighten your left leg all the way out onto the mat. Flex the foot, reach the heel away. You're going to reach that right leg straight up to the ceiling. Arms relax into the mat beside you. Turn your right leg out so the toes and knee are turned out slightly to the right. That's happening from your right hip initially. Make sure it just tracks through the ankle and the knee. We're going to inhale, take the leg across the body. Exhale, circle the leg down, around and up to 90 again to center. Inhale across, exhale, circle. And our hips are tight a lot of the time, so this might feel awkward, might feel uncomfortable. Your hip might be like clicking a little bit. That's somewhat normal. If it's really painful, you can definitely just skip this movement or make the circle a little bit smaller, modify however you need to. But unless you have like a hip injury, it should be working okay for you. We're going to switch direction. So inhale, take the leg out to the right. Exhale, down, across and up. Inhale out, exhale. One more. Okay, give that knee a big hug into the chest. So compress the hip. Take a breath there. Take that knee across the body towards your left shoulder. Try not to twist the whole back. We're just pulling the knee across right now. We're not lifting the right hip too much. And then take that right knee to the right shoulder so it kind of falls out to the side a bit. Keep your left hip heavy as you do this. Alright guys, go ahead and straighten that right leg out onto the mat all the way. Flex the foot. Bring that left knee towards the chest and then left leg long up to the ceiling. And another thing I want you guys to work on here is keeping the hips and the pelvis level and stable. So a lot of times while we're circling, it's so much work with the leg that the hips will like rock side to side. They'll go all over the place. Try to minimize that as much as we can. So externally rotate that left leg, toes and knee pointing out to the side. Super strong core will help to keep your hips stable. You're going to inhale, take the leg across the body. Exhale, down, out and up. Inhale across. Exhale to circle. The smaller your circle is, the more control you'll have over that pelvic stability as well. So you can always try making it a little bit smaller. We want to make sure that right leg is really helping to anchor us also. So reaching the heel away. We're going to switch direction. Inhale, take the left leg out to the side. Exhale, down, across and up. Inhale, open. Exhale as you circle. So that circle That exhale is a really big, like quick sweep all the way around. Okay, inhale, slow out, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Give that knee a big hug into the chest. Compress the hip. Big deep breath there. And you'll take that knee across the body to the right shoulder. And then gently out to the side. Left knee, left shoulder. Keep the right hip heavy. Okay. Go ahead and give both knees a big hug into the chest. Rock the back out side to side one more time. We're going to go into your ab work here. So both knees in, hands are on tops of the shins. Inhale, nod the chin towards the chest. Exhale, curl the chest up over the rib cage. Hold that lift. You're in a really small ball here. You have those arms helping to hold you up. If you have neck issues, you can keep your head down. You're going to take that right leg out to about a 45-degree angle, maybe a little bit lower if you can keep that low back press down into the mat. Give that left knee a big hug into the chest. The left hand is closer to the knee. The right hand is closer to that ankle. Curl up a little bit higher if you can. We're going to inhale, switch legs. Inhale, switch, exhale, switch, exhale. Good. So it's going to be an inhale for both legs, and exhale for both legs. So kind of picking the pace up to help match the breath to it. You can always go slower if you need to, or work a different breath pattern. But using the low abs to help pull those knees in, tightening up all the muscles in those legs, pointing through the toes. One more each side. Good. Both knees back in. Let your head and chest relax down gently. Turn the head side to side. Looking to the right and the left. Okay. Back to center. So hands on the shins again. This time we're going to lengthen both legs out together. So I'll show you what that looks like. You'll take an inhale. Nod the chin in. Exhale. Curl the chest up over the rib cage again. Pull that belly button down to the back body. Hold that lift. Use your arms if you need to. You're going to straighten both legs forward, 45-degree angle as you reach the arms back behind you. Your arms are not towards the floor there. Biceps by the ears that are lifted high. Circle the arms around, pull the knees in. Inhale, reach. Arms and legs away from each other. Exhale, circle the arms around, pull the knees into the chest. Notice that the legs stay together. So while your arms circle the legs, knees are just pulling in. Inner thighs are zipped up the whole time. Good. Make sure here that you're not relaxing your chest and head down. So lift if you can, as long as your neck is feeling okay. Hold that lift. Even as you reach the arms back, your chest is still lifted. It's not down here on the ground. Okay? So 2 more. Good. Reach the legs away, reach the arms away. Exhale. Nice job, you guys. Let the chest and head come down. Rock the head side to side one more time. Big deep breath. Okay, so find center again, neutral spine. Neck is relaxed. You're going to take those legs straight up to the ceiling. Turn the feet out, turn the legs out. So again, it's happening from your hips. It tracks through the knees and the ankles. Toes and knees point out to either side of the room a bit. Zip up the inner thighs as much as possible. It's fine if there's space between them. It's fine if you can't straighten the legs all the way, just do your best. You're going to lower the legs a few inches towards the ground, and then just lift the legs back up to that 90-degree angle. So inhale to lower. Exhale, use your low abs to lift the legs up again. You're only lowering the legs as much as feels okay for your body, working through a few things. So you want to be able to still keep that low back press down into the mat the whole time. So if your back is lifting, or if it's hurting, don't take the legs as low. We want to make sure we're using the core to help lift the legs. So if at any point you feel that the abdominals are not connected to your back, they're not helping you through the movement, then we'll take the legs a little bit less low, not as low, so just back off of the movement if you need to. Bend the knees in, legs in tabletop here. You're going to take your arms out to a T. We'll let the knees fall to the right, let the left hip lift off the mat. So get into that really nice back stretch. You can let the knees fall all the way to the right if that feels okay. Try to keep that left shoulder on the ground. You can look left. If that feels good for you, let the neck stretch out a little bit more. And then bring the head back through center. Inhale, exhale, use your abs to draw the legs through center again. Inhale, knees fall left, right hip lifts. And then gently turning the head to the right. So depending on how sore you are, this might be a challenging stretch, but you are just stretching through the back, through the side body. When you're ready, looking towards the ceiling again, inhale, exhale, use your abs to draw the legs back through center. Okay, bring the arms a little bit closer to the body, legs straight up, flex the feet. We're just gonna flex and point the feet a few times. So moving through the ankles, flexing and pointing. One more time here. Okay, flex the feet again, hold that. Legs are super long, reach out through those heels. You're gonna let the legs fall to the right just a few inches. Let that hip lift, but keep the shoulder girdle on the mat. Use your abs to bring the legs back to center. Inhale, let the legs fall to the left. Let that right hip lift. Exhale, abs, draw through center. Okay, so little tilt side to side, not as deep as we were going just a moment ago when the legs were bent. This is more of just working those abdominals rather than stretching. Okay, so now the hips aren't going to lift at all. You're going to draw a small circle with the feet to the right, down a few inches to the left, up to center. Hold and then switch to the left, down to the right, up to center. So you're alternating direction now. One circle starting on the right and then one circle starting on the left. Your circle is happening in the same space. So just make sure that it's like you're tracing a circle on the ceiling. It's the same circle in the same spot every time. You're just alternating your direction. Okay, one more to the left, guys. And then give the knees a big hug into the chest. One more time, rock the back out side to side. All right, we're gonna come into one more abdominal exercise here, moving the legs a little bit, and then I'll get you on up to seated. So straighten the legs to the ceiling. Inhale, nod the chin towards the chest. Exhale, curl the chest up over the rib cage. You can walk your hands up towards the calves or the ankles of the legs. Let your left leg lower towards the mat. Lift your hands up a little bit higher on that right leg and use the arms to help you lift the chest up a little bit higher. So point the toes of both feet, super long, energetic, fired up legs. All those muscles are working. You're gonna pull that right leg closer to the body and then switch. Pull the left leg in, right leg lowers, switch, and switch. And there's a little bit of like a pulse as you pull one leg in. So you're pulling that leg a little bit extra towards you as you let that opposite leg lower towards the ground. Make sure that low back is pressed into the mat the whole time. Make sure you're breathing. You're looking towards your belly button or towards your thighs. So make sure that you're not looking up towards the ceiling, you're not straining the neck. Flex your feet. Good. We'll just do one more each side. All right, guys, both knees back in. Let your chest and head come down. Take a big inhale. Exhale. Okay, and then we'll rock ourselves up to seated. So grab behind the backs of the thighs. You can kind of rock yourself forward and back until you're ready to come all the way up. Well, let's flip over into an all fours position. So you'll be on your hands and your knees. Nice flat back. Hands right underneath the shoulders, knees right underneath the hips. So find that. Make sure you're looking a few inches, maybe half a foot forward in front of the hands so the back of the neck is long. And then from there, stick the tailbone up towards the ceiling, belly drops down, chest and head lift up, big inhale. Exhale as you round your spine, tuck the tailbone under, scoop the abs in, drop the head down, and inhale to release. Tailbone up, belly down, head up, chest open. And exhale to round. And then nice flat back again. Find that neutral spine, shoulders down the back. We're gonna tuck the toes under, lift the knees, just half an inch or so off the mat, so super small lift. Abs are really working hard to hold that. Knees are pulsing up and down from there. So they're not actually touching the ground, just super small lift and lower with control. Big deep breaths. Super strong arms, make sure those fingertips are spread wide. Shoulders are sliding down the back. All right, last one here. We're gonna gently lower those knees down. Sit back hips to heels for a moment. Let the back and the arms stretch out. Big inhale, big exhale. We're gonna lift back up into that all fours position. Tuck the toes under again. So one more time, abs lift. Exhale, lift the knees. Hold there. You're gonna step the right leg back, step it in, left leg back, and in. So one leg at a time. You're stepping that foot back. You're lengthening the leg completely. You're squeezing through the glutes and the hamstring, and you're keeping that back body super supported by pulling those abs and ribs in and together. We want to do our best to keep the hips level and lifted here. Last one to the left. Both feet in, rest the knees down. Sit the hips back. Take a breath. All right, guys. We're going to do some side lying movements. We'll start with side plank, and then we'll actually come down to laying on your side. So right elbow underneath the shoulder. Couple different options for side plank. You can have your bottom leg bent in up onto the mat with you, and your top leg straight with the foot flexed. And I'll show you that if you have your hips lifted in that one, you just have a little bit more support through the bottom leg, okay? Otherwise, you'll have top foot forward, bottom foot back with the legs staggered, both legs straight, both feet flexed. So I'm gonna do that option today. You'll lift the hips, make sure that whole side body is lifted up away from the mat, top hands on the hip or reaching up to the ceiling, head up, chest open, hips are stacked, big deep breaths. You're just holding it. Cinching the waist in, squeezing those glutes, squeezing the inner thighs. Last 4. And gently lowering the hips. And before we do the other side, we'll get into some side lying exercises here. So I'm gonna have you just readjust as you need to lay down completely on your bottom arms. Your bottom arm is gonna be long. Your bottom side ear will relax down onto the arm. And you can have the palm facing up to the ceiling if that feels okay. Your legs are gonna straighten all the way out as well, so that ideally there's one long line from the feet all the way to that bottom arm hand, okay? Hips are stacked, shoulder girdle stacked. Your top hand is on the mat in front of you, kind of in front of the chest or the belly, helping to support the body. So just check in, make sure everything's in line. Toes are pointed. We're gonna lift both legs away from the ground a few inches. Really small movement, not as hard as you think it might be. So zip up the inner thighs, lift the legs a few inches, tiny, tiny lift, lower the legs down. Little lift, little lower. Here we want to work to relax the neck and the shoulders, which is a little tough to do sometimes because we want to put all our tension into that area. So think about Instead, cinching the waist in, putting the tension and the work into the core and engaging those inner thighs, squeezing through the glutes as well. We're just still in those small little lifts and lowers of the legs. Okay, one more. And then you can flex the feet. This time the top leg is going to lift and lower. So top leg just lifts maybe half a foot, not too high. Feel that outer glute, outer thigh working, and the hip to help lift that leg. Okay, last two here. And we're gonna hold that top leg lifted. Now we're gonna lift the bottom leg to meet the top leg, or as close to it as we can get. You might not actually touch it, that's fine. But lifting the top leg up to, bottom leg up to meet that top leg. Try not to move your top leg too much here. This is a really tough one. We'll do three more. Last two. Okay. Go ahead and bend the knees in. So we'll reposition a little bit. You can bend your bottom arm now and have your bottom arm kind of supporting the head and the neck a little bit differently here. Shoulders and hips are still stacked. You have both legs bent in. We're gonna draw that top knee up towards the ceiling. You have heels together, toes apart, and you can also lift the heels of the feet really away from the ground. So top knee is gonna lift and lower, just into those little clamshell movements with the legs. So just that top knee is moving. Okay, two more. Okay, go ahead and relax the feet and legs down. I'm gonna have you prop up onto that forearm one more time, just like we did for side plank. That bottom elbow underneath the shoulder. Reset your position. Make sure you're not cinching, like sinking towards the mat here. You're lifting that bottom side ribs and oblique and side body away from the mat. Okay, so top leg is going to lengthen out towards the wall, the bottom of the mat there. Flex the foot, have the leg lifted hip height, which should be work already, keeping it lifted. You're going to hinge through that hip to draw the leg out in front of you, forward at about a 90-degree angle between the leg and the torso, 90 degrees. You're going to press the leg back towards the wall behind you. Squeeze the glute. Inhale, draw it forward. Exhale, press it back. Find that squeeze. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. Do your best to keep a neutral spine here, so just that natural curve in the back. Make sure those hips stay stacked. We're not allowing them to rock forward or back. Okay, you guys go ahead and press that leg back towards that back end of the mat. We're going to circle through the hip there, so just small circle, reaching out through the heel, keeping the leg in line with the body. We'll switch direction. Alright guys, one more here. You're going to bend the knee in towards the chest. You're going to round your spine. Reach the leg long towards the back end of the mat behind you, and you can kind of open the chest up a little bit, arch the back a little bit. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, reach long. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. One more. All right. Find neutral, relax those legs down. Carefully bring yourself on up to seated. Prop yourself up. You're going to reposition here for a figure four stretch. So just bring both legs out in front of you, knees bent, feet flat. We're going to cross the left ankle up and over the right thigh. So flex the left foot. Readjust as you need. Both hands back behind you on the ground to support the body. You're just letting that left hip stretch out. So big deep breath here. You can close the eyes if you like. You can relax for a moment. Get that hip really stretched out. We just worked it a lot, so it's probably sore and tired. Time for a stretch. We're gonna do the same movements on the other side now, so you can carefully uncross the legs, readjust as you need. You're gonna have your left forearm down on the ground this time, or whichever side you weren't on last time, for your side plank. So again, you can have the bottom leg bent up onto the mat with you and the top leg long, foot flexed. If you need a modified version, the hips would still be lifted. Otherwise, top foot forward, bottom foot back, both legs are long, both are straight. We're gonna lift the hips up off the mat. Have that top hand on the hip. Make sure you have head up, chest open, shoulder girdles stacked, hips are stacked, you're looking forward. Super long line from the crown of the head all the way down to those heels. We're just holding it. Big deep breaths. Last 4. Good. Okay, gently lowering the hips down. So both legs are going to be long. You can flex the feet. You can relax down onto that bottom arm. So lengthen the bottom arm all the way. Let your ear come down onto it. Hips and shoulder girdle are stacked, so just check in with that. Top hand is in front of you on the mat supporting you. Okay, good. We'll actually point the toes here. Zip up the inner thighs just so we're equal with the other side. We're going to lift both legs away from the mat a few inches and lower both legs down. So this side might feel different. It might feel like you can lift the legs higher. It might be a little bit harder. Just really depending on which side of your body is stronger. Because it's not just the legs that are working, it's that top oblique is working to help you pull the legs up as well. So you do want to be engaging the inner thighs, zipping the legs up, squeezing the glutes, but also that core is working really hard to help lift the legs and to help keep the hips stacked. Big deep breaths here. These ones get tough really quick. Last 2. Alright guys, flex those feet. You're going to lift that top leg. So bottom leg at this point is just relaxed somewhat. It's still active. You still want to make sure it's all those muscles are turned on. The foot is flexed. You're really engaging all those muscles to help keep you anchored. It is doing some work, but mostly that top leg is working pretty hard to lift. Okay, last 2. And then we'll keep that top leg lifted. Now the bottom leg works to meet the top leg. So this one, for me at least, it throws me off my balance a little bit. So just be cautious that we want to try to keep those hips stable and stacked still. So you'll probably feel a little wobbly. This side's a lot harder for me than the other side. So just being aware of it, working towards keeping those hips stacked and really unmoving. Try to keep the neck soft. Last 1. Alright, both legs relax down. Bend the knees back in towards the chest. So knees are kind of in front of the hips. And then you can bend that bottom arm as well. Have it really supporting the head and the neck. Okay, so get comfortable there. Your top knee is going to lift up towards the ceiling. We'll have heels together, toes apart, and the feet are lifted away from the mat as well. So into that clamshell. Just a light grip with that top hand right in front of you. Breathing through that movement. Still getting into that outer thigh. Getting a lot of work today. Okay guys, last 4. Good. Both legs lower. Carefully come up, propping yourself up on that left forearm. So again, that left side body this time, really lift it up away from the mat. Make sure you're not sinking down. So that whole left side body has to work pretty hard. The lat, the oblique, shoulder over the elbow, hips are stacked. We're gonna lengthen that top leg all the way out towards that bottom end of the mat. Flex the foot. You're gonna draw that leg forward. Exhale, press it back. Squeeze the glute as you push the leg back. Keep that bottom leg heavy. This is another movement where it's really easy to let the hips like sway and rock side to side. We want to do our best to keep them stable and stacked. Top hip right above the bottom hip. So if you need to make the kick not as big, not as dramatic, if you need to slow it down, whatever works for you to help keep those hips right on top of one another. Keeping the abs turned on also really helps to stabilize. So squeeze through that glute. Make sure your spine here stays neutral as well. We don't want to round or arch the back here. 2 more. Last one, we're pressing that leg back. Hold it back there. Little circles through that hip. Big inhales, big exhales. I don't know about you guys, but this leg is really making me work for it today. This is a tough side. Okay, go ahead and switch direction. Okay, you guys can pull the knee into the chest, round the spine, reach the leg away, lengthen. Exhale. This time we are finding some movement through the back, through the spine. So you're arching a little bit as you reach the leg away. You're rounding as you pull the knee in. Scooping the abs in. Last 3. One more. Last reach. Okay, bend those legs back in. Carefully prop yourself back up. So one more figure 4 stretch here. Your both legs go out in front of the body. One hand back behind you. Bring that right ankle up and over the left thigh. Both hands back behind you to support the body at that point. So the foot is flexed. Try to make sure that your the part of the leg that's crossing your thigh is above the ankle bone. So I see it a lot where people are here and your foot is, your ankle and your foot, they're kind of in a weird position. The ankle is rounded, your foot is not as flexed as it could be. That's not giving you the best position. So if you're able to just have it almost like the calf and the shin are over the thigh and your foot is totally free, you can move it around, you can flex it. All right guys, you are all set. Awesome job today. Thanks for watching.